In the early morning hours of March 13th, 1964, a 28-year-old woman named Kitty Genovese was walking home from her job in Queens, New York, when she was brutally attacked by a stranger. The assault took place right outside her apartment building and lasted for more than 30 agonizing minutes. As she screamed for help, shouting that she had been stabbed, dozens of her neighbors woke up and looked out their windows. According to initial police reports and widespread media coverage, 38 independent witnesses heard her cries or observed portions of the attack, yet not a single person stepped outside to intervene, and no one called the police until it was far too late. This tragic event shocked the nation and triggered a profound crisis of social morality. The public immediately blamed the witnesses, labeling them as cold, indifferent, and morally bankrupt monsters created by urban isolation. However, social psychologists Bibb Latané and John Darley suspected that there was a far deeper, automated mechanism operating beneath the surface of the human brain. They conducted a series of landmark laboratory experiments that turned our understanding of morality completely upside down. They discovered that the neighbors did not refuse to help because they were heartless or uncaring. Instead, they failed to act because of a devastating, hardwired flaw built directly into human evolutionary biology. This phenomenon is known as the bystander effect. It reveals an unsettling psychological law. The greater the number of people who witness an emergency, the less likely any single individual is to offer help. Your brain possesses an automated program that paralyzes your morals when you are surrounded by a crowd. The core psychological engine driving the bystander effect is a concept known as the diffusion of responsibility. In any high-stakes emergency or ethical crisis, the human mind performs an automated, instantaneous mathematical equation to evaluate its personal level of accountability. If you are the sole witness to a crisis, such as a person collapsing on a deserted street, your brain shoulders 100% of the moral burden. The psychological cost of inaction is immense, because if you walk away, you are entirely responsible for the negative outcome. This creates an immediate, powerful chemical drive to intervene. However, the moment you place that exact same emergency in front of a large crowd, your subconscious performs a highly dangerous division. It divides the personal accountability by the total number of people present. If there are 50 bystanders, your brain calculates your personal share of the responsibility as a mere 2%. You look around at the crowd and your subconscious instantly whispers a comforting excuse. Surely someone else has already called for help, or someone more qualified than me will step forward. Notice that you do not consciously decide to be cruel. Your mind simply uses the presence of others as an emotional shield to lower your internal anxiety and justify your passivity. The crowd acts as a mass anesthetic for individual conscience, diluting your personal sense of duty until your motivation to act evaporates completely. To see why this psychological paralysis is so absolute, we must examine the neurobiology of social conformity and pluralistic ignorance. When researchers place individuals inside brain-scanning equipment and subject them to group scenarios where an emergency or an error occurs, they observe a fascinating neural shutdown. Under normal conditions, witnessing a threat activates your insula and amygdala, generating a wave of emotional distress that forces you to take action to clear the discomfort. However, when you are surrounded by an unmoving group, your prefrontal cortex actively suppresses this emotional alarm. The human brain is an evolutionary tracking device for social feedback. It values fitting into the group hierarchy far more than it values abstract moral principles. Before your brain decides to act, it executes a rapid visual scan of the environment to see how others are reacting. If the people around you are standing still, trying to look calm, your brain misinterprets their passive body language. It concludes that the situation must not be a true emergency. This is the trap of pluralistic ignorance. Everyone in the crowd is secretly panicking, but because everyone is hiding their fear to avoid looking foolish, the entire group concludes that inaction is the correct, safe response. Your biology overrides your senses, forcing you to remain passive simply to conform to a frozen crowd. When this neurobiological freeze takes hold, the subconscious mind deploys an aggressive psychological shield known as evaluation apprehension. This is an automated defensive maneuver designed to protect your ego from the agonizing fear of social judgment and public embarrassment. In a crowded environment, taking action requires you to step into the spotlight, making your behavior highly visible to total strangers. Your brain immediately treats this visibility as a major evolutionary threat. The ego begins running catastrophic simulations of failure. What if I misinterpret the situation and look ridiculous? What if I try to help and make things worse? What if the crowd judges my incompetence? To avoid this intense social anxiety, your subconscious mind forces you to do nothing. It convinces you that holding your position and remaining anonymous is the safest possible choice for your reputation. The ego demands protection, and it will happily sacrifice another person's safety to secure your personal social comfort. This process happens entirely beneath your conscious awareness. You genuinely believe you are being cautious, logical, and observant, while your brain is actually acting like a coward, locking you in place simply to shield your pride from the risk of a public mistake. The primary weapon the mind uses to reinforce this paralysis is a process called cognitive recategorization. When we sit in a crowd witnessing a problem, we do not simply experience pure indifference. We actively rewrite the narrative of what we are seeing to remove our internal guilt. The brain is an expert at inventing highly logical, comforting stories to justify its own cowardice. Consider a scenario where you hear a violent argument behind closed doors or witness a heated alteration in a public space. The clash between your identity as a helpful person and your physical inaction creates massive psychological friction. To resolve this dissonance without putting yourself in danger, your mind creates an escape hatch. It tells a story: this is a private domestic dispute that is none of my business, or they are just joking around, or they probably brought this situation on themselves. Notice how the mind does not deny that a conflict is happening. Instead, it reframes the event so it no longer triggers your moral obligation to help. Your brain uses rationalization to turn a genuine crisis into a private matter, allowing you to stay safely passive while keeping your self-esteem entirely intact. Alongside cognitive recategorization, the ego relies heavily on a secondary, highly passive filter known as audience anonymity. Once your brain has adopted the narrative that you are just a face in a crowd, it transforms your perception into a shield of invisibility. Anonymity alters your ethical threshold because it removes the fear of personal consequences. When you are alone, you are fully visible, and you know that your actions will be judged by the world. But inside a dense crowd or a mass organization, your subconscious realizes that no one is looking directly at you. The brain performs a dark optimization calculation. If no one can point a finger at me individually, I cannot be punished for doing nothing. This filter ensures that your mind actively blocks out the visual cues of suffering, while overemphasizing the comfort of blending into the environment. Anonymity transforms your moral landscape into a blank space where personal integrity no longer feels mandatory. It allows you to operate with absolute emotional detachment, entirely convinced that your silence is neutral, completely shielding your ego from the terrifying reality that your passivity is actively contributing to the tragedy. These abstract biological filters manifest daily in devastating real-world loops, the most common of which is the trap of corporate complacency and workplace bullying. This is the precise reason why toxic behaviors, financial fraud, or systematic harassment can persist for years inside major companies without anyone ever speaking up. An office or a corporate department is, by definition, a highly structured crowd. When an employee witnesses a colleague being mistreated or notices an unethical practice on a financial report, their diffusion of responsibility mechanisms trigger immediately. They look around at their peers, notice that everyone else is keeping their head down and staying silent, and conclude that intervention is unnecessary or dangerous. They tell themselves, "It's not my department," or "the managers must already know about this," or "speaking up will only ruin my own career." The collective silence of the office is an emotional anchor to justify their own compliance. Over months or years, this shared passivity creates a profoundly toxic culture. The workforce voluntarily surrenders its collective ethics, allowing corruption to become a standard operating procedure. Every individual is waiting for someone else to be the hero. We see this exact same self-sabotage playing out in our digital lives through the pattern of online bystander apathy and cyberbullying. In our modern digital landscape, social media platforms create the largest, most anonymous crowds in human history. When a wave of viral hatred, public shaming, or targeted harassment targets an individual on an online forum, millions of users scroll past the event daily. Because the digital crowd is so vast, individual responsibility is diluted to near absolute zero. Looks at a toxic comment section and tells themselves that their single report or supportive word will make no difference in a sea of millions. Conversely, the anonymity of the digital crowd allows people to participate in the harm without ever registering personal guilt. They drop a cruel comment or share a shaming post, using the mass movement as an emotional shield to protect their ego. They look at their phone and blame the algorithm, internet culture, or the platforms themselves. But the reality is far more profound. Their own mind utilized audience anonymity to lower its moral settings, allowing them to participate in collective cruelty today without ever breaking the internal illusion that they are a good person. When this bystander apathy scales up from an individual level to a societal scale, it produces the destructive phenomenon of collective blindness and urban isolation. In massive modern cities, millions of individuals' lives stacked on top of one another, yet they operate in a state of total hyper-independence and social detachment. Because the volume of human contact is so overwhelming, the brain's predictive processing engine adapts by aggressively filtering out the needs of strangers to conserve emotional energy. People walk past suffering, homelessness, and structural decay every single day, completely unmoved, because the narrative of the city shields them from accountability. This collective passivity is the ultimate fuel for cultural decline. A society does not collapse because it is overrun by evil forces. It collapses because ordinary, moral citizens choose to become passive spectators of their own environment. When an entire population simultaneously uses pluralistic ignorance to excuse its own inaction, community completely vanishes from the culture, and an entire city can become profoundly lonely and fractured, while its citizens remain entirely convinced that they are just minding their own business. The true danger of the bystander effect is that it constructs a perfectly closed, self-sustaining cognitive loop that entirely blinds you to your own cowardice. The cycle begins the moment an emergency or an ethical crisis occurs in a crowded space. This environment instantly triggers diffusion of responsibility, reducing your internal motivation to act. You execute a visual scan of the crowd, interpret their frozen passivity through the lens of pluralistic ignorance, and conclude that inaction is the correct response. To clear the immediate wave of guilt, your mind instantly deploys rationalization and cognitive recategorization, rewriting the crisis into a private matter that is none of your business. The failure to intervene is then used by your predictive engine as a new, acceptable baseline for the future. When the next crisis arrives, your mind looks at its past data and says, "We stayed silent before and we are still a good person. So it is safe to stay silent again." The loop closes perfectly. Every cycle strengthens the neural pathways of moral blindness, allowing you to walk through life completely convinced that you are a realistic observer of a complex world, completely blind to the reality that you are actively building a machine of collective indifference. Breaking free from the matrix of crowd paralysis requires a systematic, aggressive practice known as directed accountability. You cannot rely on vague moral intentions to save you in a crowd. Your brain's predictive engine demands explicit, structural instructions to override its automated defense systems. This disruption begins by learning how to dismantle pluralistic ignorance in real time. If you're a bystander witnessing a crisis, you must completely stop looking at the crowd for feedback. Do not wait for the group to move. Instead, you must isolate a single individual in that crowd, point at them directly, and deliver a specific, undiffused command. Look them in the eye and say, "You in the blue shirt, call the police right now." By naming a specific person and giving an explicit order, you instantly destroy their audience anonymity and eliminate their diffusion of responsibility. You shift their personal accountability back to 100%, forcing their prefrontal cortex back online. This act of directed leadership creates an immediate fracture in the crowd's paralysis. The moment one person moves to help, the pluralistic ignorance breaks, and the rest of the group will naturally flood forward to assist, transforming a frozen crowd into a powerful force for recovery. Stepping out of the crowd and taking personal accountability is an act of supreme psychological defiance, because it forces you to face the terrifying anxiety of public visibility and social judgment. Your brain will fight this process at every single turn, desperately screaming at you to stay anonymous, keep your head down, and blend back into the frozen herd simply to keep your ego safe in the dark. But now that you know the anatomy of the trap, now that you understand how your subconscious mind uses the presence of others to dilute your personal conscience, the crowd has lost its lock over you. You can choose to step out of the illusion and view your choices with absolute, unyielding clarity. This mastery of your neurological filters is a lifelong education, and your brain utilizes dozens of other invisible neural mechanisms every single day to dictate your reality and trap you on autopilot without your consent. If you are ready to shatter the rest of these hidden mental loops, discover how your mind fakes reality, and unlock the true mechanics of your subconscious, click on the playlist appearing on your screen right now. We have built an entire archive of long-form psychological deep dives designed explicitly to help you look past the self-delusions of your ego. Click through, explore the library, and take absolute control of your psychology.